La plus grande de nos richesses ne se mesure pas en millions. Nous vous faisons découvrir des ovnis pour vous permettre d'en devenir un, vous aussi. Sportifs, entrepreneurs, artistes, ils nous partagent chaque semaine leurs récits de véritables trésors d'informations.
How do I say Eisenblätter?
Yes.
Yeah, can you say it with the German accent, maybe?
Eisenblätter.
Eisenblätter. Okay. So my German is like very poor. I'm sorry. It's like, but at least I have something for me. Is that some of my friends or my brothers, they've been taught German for years, and their German is probably as poor as mine. So at least my Spanish is better than their German. So it's cool, right? But how is your French?
I learned it in 3rd and 4th grade, but I can't say anything. I can say merci, and that's it.
Okay, so you're in my brother's category.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Okay, great. Welcome to the OVNI Podcast, Emily. I'm very happy that we can meet. Actually, it's the very first time we meet here. So last time I recorded with Rebecca, and we had met briefly before. Now we can say it's like the first.
Exactly.
The first words we have together are right now. And I'm very happy about this. So I'm a bit lost sometimes because we have an English girl that lives in Germany, right? Mm-hmm. That's Rebecca. And you're a German, I should say, woman that lives in
Germany. So
okay, you live in Germany. Okay. That's easy. For you, it's easy.
Exactly.
Okay, I thought maybe someone was living in Barcelona or that was...
Rebecca.
Okay, yeah. So I got lost in translation, but now I'm good. So we officially opened with you, Emily, our first office in Germany, in Berlin, is it?
Yes.
Is it a real office or is it in your place?
It's a co-working space.
Okay, so it's a real office.
Exactly, yeah.
Where is it?
In Mitte, where all the other funds are.
I love Mitte.
Yeah, can have lunch with them every day and with founders and yeah.
Okay, why would that be important, or is it that important that we open an office in Germany with OVNI? What do you think?
I think you really need to have your foot on the ground in order to invest in the best companies and meet the best co-investors. So if I meet someone for an hour for lunch, it feels way more personal. And we also speak about things that are not related to the deal. And that creates a much better relationship. And also you see if there's a fit or not. So I think that's important. Also, obviously you need to meet companies before you invest. And it's just way closer if I take the train 2 hours and go to another city in Germany than to fly from another place to attend conferences. So yeah, I think in general, it's important that we now also look a lot at other countries in Europe because there's so much more to see and we shouldn't miss out on the great deals.
Yeah, 100%, as we would say, 100%. And how important would that be, or is it, to have a German person in the team? Is it important to be in Germany with a German person, or would that be the same with a French?
I think it doesn't really matter. I mean, it helps, but as we're not only looking at German companies and everyone can speak English in the European ecosystem, I think it could also be someone that's not German. But obviously still, I think with people that have the exact same culture, you can bond a bit more easy. But it could also be a person from the Nordics living in Berlin or from the Nordics living in the Nordics. Yeah.
But I think what you just said is even more important than, I mean, the culture is still something that is important. The way you feel people, the way you understand them, the way, I believe, probably as, I don't know if it's the same as in France, probably it's even worse or better in Germany, but the cultures can be even more different than in France, in Germany, within Germany, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's also something we test. So if my colleagues have spoken to a French person, then I also speak to them to see if there's still a match or if it's just like the cultural match, because it's important for us to find out if the founders can also pitch to non-French people, obviously, and non-French customers. So culture plays a big role there.
Okay. When did you get in the OVNI team?
Beginning of February, so it's my first month is over.
Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome. what will be your job? I mean, will you try to get some German deals? Will you also assess or double check some international deals from France or the US or other European countries?
So my focus is all the non-French deals. So I do Germany, but I also cover Nordics, Baltics, wherever we find good companies. And I basically cover the whole life cycle from sourcing to due diligence, deal negotiations, and portfolio management. But I also spend time on fundraising, building our network there, supporting with other strategic decisions, also branding. Because, I'm right now representing OVNI in Germany, all over Europe, and that's also going to be a huge part. So basically, I think it's a bit of everything. And I also support with French deals if it's in the topics that I know a lot about, or if my colleagues need my opinion. So I think we speak about every deal altogether, but the focus will be non-French deals.
We'll go on those topics and your passion, maybe. But we have a kind of an unfair advantage, I would say, in France, even though OVNI is a young company, because as Arnaud was talking, he was talking about Matthieu Blanchard or all of the people around, including myself, that are very loud in the French ecosystem and visible, I would say. So it has put OVNI in the center of attention, I would say, under the projectors, that you don't have yet or at all on the international scene or in Germany. Do we have plans to go there, or is it something that is work in progress?
It is work in progress, but we have plans to go there. So 100%, we also want to be loud outside France. Actually, what you're saying, I realized the past 3 days that I was here that there's so many like famous people, not even in quotation marks, but like really famous people that know the partners and like, wow, congratulations, you have the best job. Everyone wants to work with them. It's actually really cool. And we will try to replicate it in other countries as well.
I'm sure we can, but we'll have to work on this. I think my opinion is that the reason why I chose and I wanted to work with OVNI and Arnaud and Augustin and then Thomas is that I figured out with all of the people I was talking to, they were the best and the people I wanted. I mean, and the nicest, the people smart, but also people you want to hang out with, right? Yeah. And it was confirmed in the past years now, definitely, and it's working altogether. It's working very well. So I guess the basics we have to reproduce abroad is to get the best team, and then we'll get around the people that are loud, maybe somehow, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are we going to recruit them? Do you have an idea?
I think if we continue doing great deals, invest in the best founders, then other founders are also interested in becoming part of the fund or having us as an investor. We need to attract great co-investors outside France. We already have quite a good lineup, but even more. Obviously, also do events, be present, host dinners, host podcasts, and show that we're the best and that everyone has an advantage in working with us. And I think that already works quite well because I also have a good network of funds all over Europe. And I don't know, I share deals with them. I discuss it with them. I try to add value. I have personal relationships. So I think we just have to keep on doing that. And then let's see if we hire more people. Yeah.
I'm looking for this German business podcaster. Do you have an idea? Do you know some of them or some very famous or...
I mean, there's Startup Insider, for example.
Who do I talk to? There is one coming back and forth to me.
OMR podcast.
What is OMR? OMR. Yeah.
Philipp Westermeier.
Yeah, Philipp Westermeier.
Yeah.
We had a chance to talk last year, I think.
Nice.
That would be something interesting, wouldn't that be?
Yeah.
We should try to talk. So if they listen to us, Philipp and the team, just try to reach out. It would be fun to have. I think it would be very interesting to share this piece of cake, at some point with all of these people, because making it depend on one or two people is not enough. We have to make it very big. And I think there is room in Europe.
Lots of funds are pan-European now, and that's also what we want to be, or I think what we already are, because now we're investing everywhere. The team is distributed in France, in Barcelona, Berlin, and San Francisco. And so I think we're quite well positioned for that. And we even have this advantage of having the office in San Francisco. So I think that's something not even the larger funds in Germany or other parts of Europe have, because it's,
Which seems it only has been like 2 months, and it seems it's working already. I mean, we hear from Augustin, so he's our partner in San Francisco, who just moved there early January 2006. I'm just saying the echoes I have are quite amazing, saying like the fact that you meet some people, that you can meet some investors, that you can meet in person, some founders, is just changing everything.
Yeah, like co-investors, which is really cool for follow-on rounds, because it's obviously important for the companies to raise large follow-on rounds. And unfortunately in Europe, there's not a lot of growth funds. So I think 50% of the growth equity comes from outside Europe in European companies. And so, there's all the funds that have the money, and we already get in contact with them. Potential corporates that would be acquirers in the end. It also helps with deal flow. There's just so many advantages to it. And it kind of works well. Like I think it's a tough game, but it works really, really well. And that was also a reason for me to join OVNI, and it pays off.
Very cool. If I want to push you a bit in some extension, don't worry, I won't be too mean. But I could say if I'm like a fast-growing, like very early-stage German company, or let's say a Polish or Swedish company, and then I see OVNI coming around, and I don't know, maybe you coming around, and I'm like, that young girl, this French whatever fund I've never heard about. I mean, I'd rather go with those guys that are. How can we make sure they don't? How can we? What our arms? What our weapons? Sorry, to make them come and work with us.
I think it's providing value, and that's what everyone says. But if we are convinced of yes, we also do that.
Don't bullshit me, Emily.
So, but I think what we do is if we have conviction on a company, we provide value even before we put a term sheet. So I think that's something that really, so we can prove ourselves before, and we can prove that we're trustworthy because we say if we support you that we would actually do it, and like it's a kind of a give first thing, and even if we don't invest in the end, we don't mind, obviously, because we did something for the ecosystem. So I think that's something. I have the feeling that it's this like personal relationship, because we don't treat them as like just another investment, or like we're higher, we're superior to them. I think that's what some investors do, and I think with us they really feel that we're always prepared, we give our best, and we try to win the deals because we have high conviction. So I think that's a second thing. Then definitely the US office helps. And then the fourth thing is I think we're a rather small fund, so we're really agile. We can help however. We don't need long to take decisions. If there's a follow-on round or if there's anything else, we're just quick. We're entrepreneurs ourselves, so I think that's a big argument. Most of the partners, they founded a company themselves or they were operators.
That's
and I
true.
think actually Rebecca said something today that only 12.5% of partners in funds in Europe were operational before, and I think that's a very low number. And as an entrepreneur, you really, really value that, and that's something that shows when we discuss with the founders. So it's actually a couple of things. I think we can win the deals.
There's no bullshit in what you said. That's true. Actually, I buy everything, and maybe I would add that what you say. We try to be very helpful at the very beginning, and that's, I mean, so important and so impressive. Augustin and Arnaud and Thomas have been, and there. What I wanted to add is the nerd geek part of all the team. I mean, including the LPs, that is very helpful too. I mean, you get some guys, some girls in our LPs that are like insanely amazing in like machine learning, computer vision, I don't know, biotech. Have you met Alexandre Génie?
No,
not yet. Oh wow! I'm working with my content producing team with him, and Alexandre is just like so far away. Sometimes you're like, wow.
I love that. I love these kind of people.
But and I know when he talks to people, I introduce him. Can be Yann Lequin from Ami Labs, or like some very sharp, like top tier, like Top Gun worldwide. They talk to him and they're like, "Wow, this guy is just fucking sharp." And I know we have like loads of people like this around us, and that's I guess something that is very valuable. If we take your journey, so you've been working for what, 10 years, something like this?
Yes.
Yeah. When I take the past 10 years, what frustrates me, or if I take the investment I've made, or we're coming from a world where we used to value a lot of software, SaaS, whatever business, and we're into this. What's the name? I've learned it yesterday. The SaaS. You don't know what I'm talking about. Is the SaaSpocalypse, SaaS.
Yeah,
something.
I know what it means.
And so sometimes I'm like, well, I'm so happy I didn't have a fund like prior 2023, 24 even, because I mean we would have so many cadavers in our fund. But still, I mean, maybe it will happen to some of our investments yet. You were in the investment and entrepreneurship area in the past. Can you tell me where? Were you in this SaaS business? Were you already in deep tech? Where are your cadavers, Emily?
Good question. So I think the past years, there was a lot of like deep tech venture capital startups involved. So I worked for several startups, some of them deep tech, some of them not. I worked for a machine learning incubator, which back then was quite deep tech. I think nowadays you wouldn't say that AI is really, really deep tech, but back then it really was. So I also studied machine learning, cloud computing, programming, but at a business school. So like very different to having a PhD in that field. But still back then it was really, really deep tech. I worked for Project A. I worked for another fund called Elevate Capital for 4.5 years. And we were quite opportunistic. So I did food tech, construction tech, but I also did biotech. And that was like pretty deep tech, I would say. So I think it's a mix, but mostly deep tech. And this is just like something that I love. I love for the past 10 years, but even before, like I have a very, very strong passion in that topic. And even in my free time, I don't know, I would go to the planetarium to learn about dark holes. I would go to like lectures of Alain Aspect. He's the guy that experimentally proved quantum entanglement. I would read the Nature magazine, and I only understand like a small part of it, but I just love doing these things. So I think like not only in my professional life, but also in my private life, I've always been really involved with that. And there's definitely some cadavers. But yeah.
How practical are you in some of those? I mean, do you push hard on Anthropic or agentic AI, or is it not really your thing? Sorry.
It's not something that I spend a lot of time looking at in the past years. So I was more like, I did a lot in the computing space, but like that's another level in the value chain. So I think there's a lot of potential computing, like semiconductors, how we solve the energy bottleneck, the bandwidth bottleneck. So these are more my topics. But on the like application foundational model layer, of obviously like I'm informed, but I haven't invested in that space.
How many companies did you invest in? You have an idea?
Around 10, I would say. Yeah.
Was it your own money or in the previous funds?
previous funds, so it was LP's money.
Not your own money yet?
No, like a bit, but not that much.
Okay.
Not that much. I mean, I have some small ticket in another fund and in small tickets in like business angel investments, and it's not going amazing, I have to say. But I'm just like, if one of the investment turns out great, then it doesn't matter. It will pay off all the other ones. But yeah, I have some exposure to the market. But I think it's important, you need to know how it feels.
What is your anti-portfolio? What did you miss? Like the hard miss?
That is a good question. I think Terra Quantum is one. They're quite cool. I really wanted to invest in them, but in the end we didn't. GA Drilling. So these are not like the companies that are unicorns now, but companies that just raised big rounds that I was looking at and loved, like GA Drilling. They basically do geothermal borehole drilling, which is very important. And I pushed hard on that deal, but in the end we didn't do that. Yeah.
Okay. What are the, I don't know, like craziest company you've seen? Like maybe you didn't buy, or like I think you have something, right? No?
It's hard to say because they're all quite crazy, and it really depends on. So with the past company, I was looking, I don't know, even at 2021 at like cell-based meat. So basically like meat that's grown in a lab, but it's bioidentical to the meat that you have from animals. And back then that was extremely crazy. Or like nanosatellites, and now it's not that crazy anymore. Now it's more. For example, you can do experiments in space, or you can produce medication in space because the environment is just a bit different. And I think that's rather crazy. Or in the quantum space, quantum sensing, there's a lot of companies. It's hard to pick like the craziest ones.
These are crazy. These are the ones you don't really understand what there's.
For me, they're now like not that crazy anymore. It's normal. Like it's like sci-fi has become my day-to-day business. So
interesting. One of the biggest frustration I would have in the European startups is a German startup that was in the solar panel. Do you remember that?
Empire?
Was that they released that factory? They were like really amazing and
Northvolt.
Northvolt. Yeah. So it failed, right?
Yes.
And you're like, I mean, solar panel, right? And European and like sovereignty and like everything is here. Like
it's not that easy.
And then like you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Look, guys. I mean, we've invested so much, and I'd be very happy actually, or very curious about what happened at the end. And did everything go to the trash, or did someone just got something out of it? I think it would be very interesting because that I think that's from a investor or entrepreneur point of view is very frustrating at some point. Okay, did you take part of a deal at OVNI yet?
No, not yet. No. We had lots of ICs, almost one per week, and so we put a term sheet. I think even two. So it was quite fast-paced the past weeks. I think there's lots of good deals in the market, but I haven't done my own yet.
Did you source some of those? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So lots of the deal flows actually is quite cool. I reactivated my pipeline. I have tons of deals now to look at. It's interesting because before I invested mostly at Series A, so tickets 5 to 10 million. Now it's 250K to 2 million, and it's quite different to invest in these companies. So the work changed a bit, but I do love it.
Who do you source them? Where'd you get them from?
You would get them from other investors. Then there's obviously these kind of tools. Then there's people that I know that just found companies out of the university. I have good connection in these spaces. So I think these were the major channels. And then you look at way more companies than you would at if you look at Series A, because obviously there is way more companies because the conversion from seed to Series A or pre-seed to Series A is not that high. And way higher frequency. You have you know way less about the company because obviously there's not that much that happens. So you also have less conviction when you invest most of the time. And it's 90% of the founder. I mean, it depends on the deal, but if you invest at Series A, usually the founder already had time to prove him or herself with attraction. And so different.
What about the places? I mean, if you take Germany, we think a lot about Berlin, obviously, for startups.
Yeah.
But if I would probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing somehow, but what about, we'll go to other countries afterwards, but what about Munich or, I don't know, I was thinking about in former Eastern Germany, help me.
Dresden, maybe?
Yeah. Leipzig, those places. I mean, do you have like some underrated places we could think of?
I think definitely so.
That was definitely Leipzig I was thinking about, but...
So definitely Munich. So I think all over Europe, the cities with the most deep tech companies or most investment is Munich, London, and Paris.
Okay.
And within Germany, it's because Munich is quite expensive, and if you're an early stage company and people that just left uni, they can't pay that much, obviously. So there's a lot of companies in Dresden, Ulm, Stuttgart, where there's good universities. And then also if you go to Switzerland, in Zurich, you have the ETH, and there's actually a lot. Like for me, I think I will have to travel all through Germany. It won't be that I can just stay in Berlin or can just go to Munich because they're everywhere.
And investors are everywhere also?
I think the most deep tech investors are in Munich. And then the second biggest city is Berlin. Then you have some in Cologne, but the rest of Germany, there's not a lot that happens. So I would say Munich first, Berlin second. Because
I think one of our kind of unfair advantage in France is that we're not that much in Paris. Yeah. I mean, we are a lot in Paris because some of us who live here, but Arnaud is in Montpellier and everybody is around France. Yeah. And as all of the funds in France are in Paris, it's probably kind of an unfair advantage if you are not in Paris. The thing is that in Germany, everything is so decentralized that I don't know what is it better to be, you have to be omnipotent, right?
Yeah, exactly. So investors, it's a bit more central, but startups, it's quite decentralized. It used to be Berlin, but that was also more like on the SaaS businesses. But I mean, now you can do the first calls through Zoom, and then you can meet them. Either they come to Berlin or I go where they are, look at their labs, the facilities they have, check their. I will visit a drone company soon, and they will do some testing while I'm there. And so it's always also good for me to be on the ground because then you meet the founder, but also the co-founders and also the rest of the team, depending on how big it is. But you can kind of sense the atmosphere. And I think that's also important and very different to just speak to only the founder.
I think in the tech areas, we've all been very auto-centered in the past decade, at least, like probably at least London has been thinking they've been the best in Europe. Paris have been thinking we've been the best in Europe. Was it the same in Germany?
That people were thinking Munich, probably yes. Yeah. But it was the case for
me. The German internet was rocket internet, and then the rest of the world. But you had the Samwer brothers, and then I don't know who else, but not very sure.
Exactly.
But was that the case? Yeah.
Yeah, for Berlin, 100%. Yeah. Now it changed a bit, but 100%, and now it's more Munich.
And what is the perception of the French tech scene from Germany? Whom nobody cares?
I think people care, but they care just as much as, I don't know, Sweden.
How many French companies can, like, I wouldn't say an average German, but like kind of a tech bro or cis from Germany would be able to mention? What are the French companies?
I think of the large ones. I mean, Mistral and
Mistral
and probably some other companies. Not that many. I think the ecosystem is.
Do you know about Conto?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I know about them.
Yeah, it used to be Penta. They bought Penta from Germany. Do you know about Swile?
No.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
think there's probably some, and you don't know where they're from, but where they were located. But I think there's lots of great funds, and they tend to invest into French companies. So that's why they probably don't need investors outside France.
But that's a problem we have to solve in Europe. Is because, and we are actually not really solving. Actually, that's not the direction we take. Probably with OVNI, I don't know. But is that. If you want to grow, you have to go to the US. So you're not trying to go pan-European. I think the Contour example is good because they're growing really big. Disclaimer, they're one of my sponsors, but I'm not talking about that because of, they're one of my sponsors because they're genius, not the other way around. But they're big in Spain, they're growing in Italy, they're big in Germany and a lot of countries. I think they're growing in probably in the Netherlands too. But it's kind of 1 in a million, right? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the business, how important it is, if the market is heterogeneous or homogeneous. If it's a sovereign technology, like lots of defense companies, they want to stay in Europe and want to serve NATO countries. So I think, it's way easier to scale in the US. Obviously, we want to keep some distribution in Europe, but it's easiest to go to the US right away.
Because
not easy, but easier to scale there because
because it's one language, one market, international. But if at the end we would be able to pile up at least France and Germany and maybe UK or which is outside Europe, or Spain and Italy, it would be big market still.
That's true. That's true. It's just like in the US, if you look at the big corporates or like S&P 500 companies or even like larger companies, I think they acquire twice as many companies as European companies do. And they put way more money in it. And they're way younger, these companies. Younger in the sense, I think like 35 years on average. In Europe, it's like 70 or 80 years. So you really see that. So it's not only like the homogeneous market, but and they're way more risk-taking for several reasons. It's just like also a cultural thing, but I think we can change it. And as you were saying, like Europe is also a big market, and for some technologies, it makes a lot of sense to stay here.
It's interesting to be a young VC firm, probably to get in that path. What are you live in several countries, right? What are the underdogs in Europe? We're talking about main countries, but we've seen some stuff happening in Estonia, right?
Yeah.
Do you know some of those countries? What about Poland? What about Czech Republic? What about Denmark? We know about Stockholm and Sweden, but what about all of the other countries?
Nordics, they're great, but probably not underdogs anymore. I think Czech Republic is...
Yeah, but we say Nordics, but once again, we'll get back to Czech Republic, but it's Sweden.
Yeah, it's mostly Sweden. Yeah, you're right.
I think it's except Nokia that is dead. Long time ago. It's Sweden.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope. If you're from Denmark and Finland, and you'll be welcome to challenge us. I'm not saying there is but the way I feel it is mainly Sweden. The culture of tech companies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Norway, no, not really.
Not really. There's some energy, some manufacturing companies, but not as much as in Sweden, I would guess.
Okay.
I think Spain is interesting. They do a lot in health tech.
Barcelona is growing big time, in the past year.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Also a bit in climate. Czech Republic is also catching up, for example, in the semi-space, but it's not like there's a real hidden underdog. I think if you can only choose a certain amount of startups, I would still probably bet on London, Munich or Paris as cities within the respective countries.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I think Poland is interesting as an economy. It's growing very fast, but not so much in the tech area, is it? Well,
no.
Ukraine used to be they are still in the defense area, but they've always been very good developers, very sharp, amazing. Yeah. Interesting. And Italy is probably they're buying some build-up companies. They're doing some stuff, but it's not
not that much, I would say.
Deep tech. Okay,
no, not that much.
But they still have an industry in Italy, so maybe there are because for the deep tech investment, we have to look after not only the software, right? We have to look into the real world that we've mainly lost in France. Not 100%, but we've lost a lot, and that you still have in Germany, right?
You mean?
I mean, you're still able to you still have an industry in Germany.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Like a car industry, like lots of engineers that are there. That's also something where lots of very good companies arise from. So people that come from universities such as TUM or the others, they kind of work with the industry during their studies. And then they learn about the problems that the potential customers have. And that's how companies get founded.
And that's important. What I'm saying is that if you take some of the deep tech area, you have to assemble. You have to. I mean, I don't know if you take drones, or it can be low tech. But if you take deep tech, you still have to sometimes work with Renault or BMW or some of these big guys to grow, right?
Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah, there's several ways. It's always good to do like.
I do say shit, so you can say
it's not. It is a good way.
Yeah.
I would say working with corporates early really helps if you do a POC with them, like a proof of concept, because they can basically. You're usually not able to produce in like really, really high quantities, but you have to be at some point, and this is what these big corporations require. So you can work with them and see if you can make it happen and use their infrastructure. So I think it makes a lot of sense. You just need to be careful that you don't tailor your product too strong to what they're doing. And in the end, you can only serve this specific company.
Don't rely on them, yeah.
Exactly. But I think it helps a lot. It also helps with investment. So if you tell an investor, I have a POC with this and this company, that's a pretty good sign because I think these corporations, they're rather risk averse. So if they would work with you, then it's actually a good sign. So yeah, that's a good way.
Okay, let's go into the cliches. Maybe we'll start with the German, that it will be not hurt myself first and you'll hurt myself afterward. What are the strengths you would have, like maybe in those big companies or everywhere in the business area that, we don't have in France? Or what are the strengths and the weaknesses you would have?
I think it's great research universities and great universities in general. So I think talent pool is amazing. I think as a founder, there's lots of like problems with bureaucracy, but basically you have like a good social net. So you can it's not about life and death. If your company fails, you will be like supported financially. So I think that helps.
Bureaucracy is very hard still in Germany.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yeah, it's a big problem. But I mean, everyone is ranting about it, so it's probably not that interesting to speak about it now because everyone is like, that's a constant thing. But there's things happening, there are things happening to make that easier because I think now even politics woke up.
You still have those lenders stuff where you can have different laws from a lender to another. And,
exactly. You read out the whole document when you're at the notary for a couple of hours.
No way.
Yeah, to change something, it takes a while. It's quite annoying. So that would be some of the disadvantages. But and the advantages, it's mostly, I guess, talents, companies that can be potential customers. So industrial companies, as we just said.
Do they move fast? Those guys, are they able to?
Probably not really. I mean, some of them form their like venture clienting units. So these are specific units that are supposed to take some risk, that work with startups and try out new things, and also learn from them, potentially buy them at some point. So that's how they move fast. But I would say that's the only part. I think in general they're not moving that fast. I hope to see that changing because I think the pressure is increasing. So at some point they have to move faster in order to not go bust. But let's see if they do that.
What are the cliches you've seen or confirmed since you work with French people? Or
I'm not sure if I can say. I mean, it's the obvious one that French people only speak French.
That's true. And
I can confirm that. I mean, in the team, it's really, really cool because they don't. But I'm not used to that. And I have the feeling that this is the only It's very interesting. Yesterday I attended like an investor event, and the invitation was in French. In Germany, that would never happen. Like the invitation would always be in English. So I think these are the things. I'm not sure if I can say it on this podcast.
Yeah,
but
you can.
I think that's something that should change.
No, let's say everything. Yeah, we have to understand. Yeah.
I think that's something that should change, because then it feels way more international. Because for me, if I work with a fund from London, it shouldn't be a big difference if I work with a fund from London or with Paris, because it's basically the same. It's just another country, right? And you feel more included if everyone speaks English.
You know, Emily, I think it shouldn't change. I think French people should just speak French, and have a good reason for that. Is that maybe otherwise they would listen to other podcasts than mine, and probably with some people that are way better than I am, but they don't. They're too lazy. I don't know. No, but the fun fact is that actually, so I do record some podcasts in English sometimes with like I've had the chance to record with a read of mine, you know, from LinkedIn, or Brian Chesky, or like amazing people. And what we do is that we translate all of these episodes with another of my sponsors. Sorry, you'll think this guy is insane. He's just mentioning all of his sponsors. Yeah. If you want a promo code, no, I'm saying.
Matthieu 100.
Yeah. No, but from 11 Labs. Yeah. And so we translate them with AI, and it's amazing. But I'm like, people won't listen to. And before we translated them with the just voiceover, like actors, like proper actors, and you would hear like the voices in English, and then like someone speaking in French over the top, and I was like, who will listen to that? I mean, it's kind of, you know, high-end podcast for smart people. So maybe like, and I discovered like I don't know, politics or big CEOs, they just don't listen to a fucking English-speaking podcast. This is insane.
Why do you think is that the case?
I guess it's going to change. Do you have when you were young, prior platforms, Netflix and so on? Did you watch cartoons in English or in German?
I think when I was young, in German.
In German, because what I've figured out is that if you go in the Nordics, if you go in the Netherlands, all of the cartoons are, most of them are in English.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Because the markets are too small to be translated. It costs too much. In Poland, I remember they had a voiceover, but with one voice. That was insane.
for all the different characters.
And it was a male guy, like saying that, this guy is saying, and she's answering. And you're like, what the fuck? I'd rather listen to it in English. So then when you're very young, you get used to English. I think there is a very cultural, insane, my God, I'm going to be ashamed of what I'm going to say, but still.
We can cut it out.
No, we don't cut anything out. Is that when I was young, my father was like, he was still hoping that French would win against English. Like not the French people, but the French language would be
in the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, we've lost already. No, we haven't. And you're like, yes, we. And still, you know, if you take the Olympics, the Olympics have still two official languages, which are French.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that. No. All of the French people know that, obviously, because we're still an international language for who? I don't know.
True.
Maybe for Africa. It's we're even losing in Africa. So, So I guess there is kind of this some, which in France, this I don't know. We are melancholy. Right?
Yeah.
We have lost, but we don't want to accept it. But that's why also it's interesting to work with in an international environment.
Yeah.
So, what is going to be the next thing you're going to bring on the table? Do you have an idea? Do you have some? Maybe you cannot say yet, but I don't know, a company coming in.
Yeah, actually, I think the coolest ones we can't speak about yet, because even like to potential co-investors, we don't share it. So that's something like if you invest really early stage, there's lots of founders in stealth or that invent things in secret. So we're trying to keep it really secret, but I'm looking, for example, at the photonic space. So that's something like you don't use electrons to transmit and move information and process it, but you use photons. So that's like particles of light, and that's
faster.
Speed of light is the fastest.
Yeah.
It doesn't go faster than that, and you don't use a lot of energy. There's not a lot of heat dissipation, and that's a very interesting field. So it's a very broad one. There's lots of bottlenecks that needs to be tackled, like memory, packaging, integration, and electronics. And I think that's something I'm currently looking at. Some things in space, tech bio. These are, I think, my favorite fields, but nothing I can share yet. But maybe so. You
I've
will
seen
find
something
out.
coming around in submarines. Did you see that file? No, not yet. Yeah. Coming around. Maybe they're going to beep everything we're saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the CIA.
I think you can say that.
Yeah.
That's specific enough.
But yeah, I think the deep tech area is I don't know. I feel so lucky to be.
It's like a sci-fi movie. It's like basically, as an investor, you get paid to learn, and you have a pitch deck that you can look at the beginning. It's like a different language. You don't understand anything because you've never heard about it, but then you get to speak to experts. You can ask the founder whatever you think is interesting. They're so smart. Like everyone that is like, I love it so much because I'm always the dumbest person in the room, and that's, for me, it's the best feeling. So it's always like like watching sci-fi movies, and then in the end you work with great founders. You support them. It's like not us that make the companies big, but they themselves do that. But I'm also really, really grateful.
Yeah. I think sometimes I think the AI era that we've got in has opened many things, because I think that a few years ago, with half or maybe more of the founders we meet, I would have looked at their deck and say like, wow, this guy is insane. Like, I don't understand like 10% of what he's saying. And I mean, like, he's going to go on the moon with photons, or he's going to send like, I mean, do we even have a market for drones in this area? Like, what the fuck? Like, and now you're like, wow, I like what you're saying. And you're like, okay, we're going to put 1 million. And you're like, well, no, yes, I don't know. It's sci-fi, as you say.
It's really hard because everything sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
And then you speak to a founder and you're like, okay, so what now? It sounds great, but what now? Like, is it great enough in order so that we can invest there or not? So I think it's quite hard to take a decision in the end, because you also need to see, is it like, and like tech risk, will that even ever work? Who can answer that question for you? Engineering risk, how will it work? So it's quite difficult to say what kind of companies will become successful in the end. And it's exactly how you say, like, most of the time it's wow, but you need to be able to differentiate between like the ones that sound wow and the ones that actually bring the returns that you need as a fund.
There will be probably, I don't know, some scams in the area.
Yes, 100%.
If you think about like, you've read that book Bad Blood?
No.
What was her name in the US? You know, the girl who would Miller? No?
No. You mean like the blood work?
Yeah.
Theranos.
Theranos, but maybe at some point, I think, well, I've read the book, which is amazing. I should give it to you. I think it's in English. And I read English books. That was just a way to put it in the podcast. But, and actually, I think at some point she believed in it.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. Yeah. So she had to ask more money to try to, and then she had to take a path that she shouldn't have taken. And it ended up in the wrong.
And I mean, it's like doing things manually that you want to automate at some point is very normal in the industry, I think. So I think maybe the first couple of % of the route she took, others are taking it as well. And I mean, in the end, as long as you provide the customer with the product that they want and are open to the investor about what you're doing, then it's all right. But yeah, obviously at some point you should deliver what you claim to deliver.
So cool. I like the way we're going. I think, it's much somehow, and I loved in the past, at the very beginning of my podcast, it was 2017, the first one. And I loved this whole, SaaS world where all of those software would help me go much faster and in so many things. I mean, don't make me wrong. I mean, just being able to, pay my colleagues without, working half a day or a full day and a half a month for like their pay sheets and like even not understanding what really you were doing. All of those things were amazing. But now when you're like, going in the physical world, in the still very techy, I think it's the fact that you're not even sure you can get there is interesting.
Yeah. Do you have favorite topics right now? Like, do you invest yourself?
Yeah, I spent so much time on AI. I mean, the agentic world, which was kind of abstract until a few weeks ago, is getting real now. Mm-hmm. And I can feel that it's getting real also because I'm very visible into like, okay, let me explain that very briefly. And then we're going to wrap up. Last weekend, I have these guys just sending me an email, students probably, like pretty much every day, right? They send me an email and they say, we love your content, we love your podcast, Génération Do It Yourself, La Martingale, and we read your newsletter and so on, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, they were cool. Sending me love, and they just say, we have this new thing that you just click on the next link. You put your LinkedIn account, and we'll give you a grade on your LinkedIn account, and then we can help you improve it. And it's boom, like this. So I click on the link, put my LinkedIn account, and get a 65%. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like 135K followers, 65. Yeah, I was kind of upset. So I go click and so I have to pay to get 4.90 euros. And like, I'm not going to pay for that, because I'm how do you say, radin? I don't pay for things. I don't know. So I just send an email, say, look, I'd be happy to offer it to my and to send it to my newsletter, but I have to test first. So give me a free code for all of my team, and it was in the weekend, like Saturday morning, and they say, yeah, sure. They send me a free links so we can all test. So I test, and then all of the thing they send me is shit. I mean, it's really not that good. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not going to improve at all my LinkedIn account. Some kind of, so I just write back and say, look, you're not ready, guys. I'm not going to send it to my newsletter. Plus, they had sent me a 40% promo code for my followers. So I was like, but still I was like, say, you have to improve your stuff. And then 2 hours later, a guy sent me an email and said, look, Matt, I'm very sorry, but my agent has made it all. Last night, I've just sent my agent and said, I'd like to do a business to improve LinkedIn accounts. And I told it, I don't know how you say, not to go and promote and outbound emails to anyone. But it did. So I was like talking to a fucking agent, and I was like, what the fuck? And so I just, and so it's going to blow. I mean, in the next weeks, days, it's going to blow to our face. Yeah. Literally. Crazy. And so what happened in the next days, on Monday morning, I talked to that guy, said, you're going to come to my podcast next week, because this guy is actually recruiting web developers. Yeah. And I said, but your job is done, mate. Yeah, I mean, like, you're out. And he said, no. And he said, okay, mate, we're going to talk. We're going to have this discussion on my podcast. But this is what really blows my mind at the moment. But still, I'm happy to have OVNI in the area, because I get the chance. So our idea is that every investment we make would go to your place. Yeah. And so we can explain what they're doing. And my idea is that I can go from a biotech on day 0, when we invest, and maybe, 2, 3, 4 years when they get like 100 million investment, and then get where they get from to where they're going, and just understand. So I understand the sci-fi in real time and the real world in real time. So I think it's cool. Sorry, it was me answering a long answer to your short question.
I love that. It's part of my job, and I'm kind of curious about anything. So I love that.
Plus, you're writing, right? Are you still writing?
Yes.
Future of Computing?
Exactly. So there's this newsletter and blog. So I took over from Benjamin Wolber. The newsletter is about, like, I do technical deep dive, I did one newsletter per week, tracked all the important funding rounds, some comments on geopolitics in the space of semiconductors, quantum.
Just by yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
But that took like a day per week. So that's why I'm not doing it anymore now that I don't have the time for it. So I will still be contributing technical deep dives every once in a while, because that's something I love to do, because it forces me to explain things, to be clear about stuff. And it also helps me for my reputation, because then people understand, okay, she's only an investor, but she still has some kind of 100%. Engineering perspective or understanding.
I think we should talk about you keeping doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think what I definitely want to do is, like, I can't do it every week because it's hard to predict. And I also spoke to the others about it. Maybe you could just put in 1 or 2 hours, do a lot with agents, but I don't think that it's that good.
No.
And I don't want that. So I either want to I want it to be amazing or not at all. So someone's taking over, doing it in a bit shorter version, and I might contribute technical deep dives. But the other thing I think that I really want to keep on doing is interviewing founders for the blog. So I've done that with a couple of founders, and I asked them about the founding story, but the rest is about, like, technical background and how their technology works. And we speak for like half an hour, and it's a lot of information, and then I try to condense it. And sometimes I move stuff around. I kind of change their pitch, because from, like, I wouldn't know better than the founder, but I've heard, I don't know how many thousand pitches in my life, and I know how this should be explained to someone that maybe is not a PhD in that area. So I kind of rephrase it, I explain it, I put some short editor's note, like definitions, and that way I get to know lots of great founders. So it's good for deal flow, it's good for co-investors, because they see that we attract good companies. It's good for me to get deep into topics. So I think what I'm extremely good at is getting in very complex topics really fast. On the other hand, I forget everything really, really fast, but it's all right. Like,
the deeper you go,
it's coming back. But so I think that's definitely something I want to keep on doing. That's also something for our portfolio companies, to give them some sorts of exposure, like very targeted exposure. So it's not like 100,000 people that read this, but it's like scientists, it's entrepreneurs, it's investors, and like lots of partners of great funds. I don't know, Intel Capital, some came to me and were like, wow, this is great what you're writing. I have a question about this, or I don't know, principal of a huge other deep tech fund. And he was like, do you think this or this company's better? And he has a PhD in physics, and he knows 100% knows better. But like, I still get some, I can dive really, really deep into what they're doing. And if I speak to a company for an investment, then I ask different questions than when I do an interview. So I definitely want to keep on doing that. I think it's good for our brand, for deal flow, and but it takes so much time and so much focus.
Where do we get those? Can you send us the link? We'll put it in the bio. Okay.
It's Future of Computing. I don't know the exact domain, but Future of Computing, you have the news and then the blog one.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes.
Cool.
Emily Eisenblätter, I think you coming in the team makes us. There are more women in the team than men now.
No, I think it's equal now. So we have Marie, Rebecca, and myself, and then you have Arnaud, Gus, and Thomas.
Okay, but if you add in the finance,
law, right?
So
kind of. If she's not full time, but
if she's not full time,
I think that would be the first time in my life that I work for a company where there's more women.
That's great. I'm so happy,
the
so
only
proud.
One.
Yeah.
So I think in deep tech there's not a lot.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it was great talking to you, Emily.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure it's going to be fun years coming ahead. Hopefully we'll go in. I haven't been in Berlin for couple of years, and I just love the city.
Yes,
so I just
you
so
should
much
come.
want. Yeah. Okay, we'll get there. Thank you very
Always
much.
invited.
Thanks for
Thank
your time.
you.
It was great.
Thank you so much.
I'll be waiting for the next investment we get from
Yes,
Germany, the first
it's
one.
going to be great.
Yeah, bye guys. You just have to add Emily in your LinkedIn. Yeah, please do. And hopefully we'll get the recipe to grow in Germany with some of our. If you're I don't know, Philip, we were saying, or if you're a voice in Germany helping get us loud, we'd be very happy to grow. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys. Bye-bye.